Call the meeting to order. I'm Susan Barr. I'm the chair of the School District 71 School Board. Let's have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So we'll start with the report from the chair. Welcome everyone to the new school year, and welcome to our special board meeting this evening. We would like to extend our best wishes to our students. We hope you have a wonderfully successful year. We hope you learn a lot of interesting things, and we hope you enjoy reconnecting with your school communities after your summer off. To our district support staff, the board would like to thank you for your tireless work over the summer for getting our buildings and grounds ready for the new school year. Your work is very much appreciated. And to our educational staff, both in the board office and in the field, we hope you are well rested and that your start to this year is an easier one than you had last year. Have a really good year. And welcome to my fellow trustees. I hope you're well rested because we have much to do this year. At the very first meeting of this board last December, I said that while the 7 of us have divergent perspectives, we also have a set of shared beliefs when it comes to governance style. It was true then, and it still is now, that the 7 of us believe in transparent decision-making processes. It was true then, and it still is now, that the 7 of us believe in respectful communications with the public and with each other. It was true then, and it still is now, that the 7 of us believe in engaging the public in true consultation so that the public can help us to set priorities for public education in Comox Valley. Our style of governance has served the district well with the challenges we inherited, and our style of governance will serve the district well with the challenges that are yet to come. Over the past year, our communities have let us know that they have some concerns about public education in the Comox Valley. They've talked about crowded schools, our long-term use of portables, school size, the loss of electives for some students, the hope that we can maintain diverse and relevant program offerings in all secondary schools. We have a desire for us to establish developmentally appropriate supports for all of our students, regardless of what building they're in. And the ongoing concern with class size and composition issues in all classrooms persists, including programs designed specifically for students with special needs. Our board is committed to creating school communities that reflect the values of families living in the Comox Valley. And our board is committed to addressing the concerns of the public. We are committed to finding solutions that will work well for students and staff, not just now, but for the decade ahead. We are also committed to hearing what you, the public, think about potential solutions. We are in the process of completing a report that can address many of your concerns through different grade structure options. We have had to delay the release of this report so that we can incorporate the adjustments necessary to accommodate the recent provincial government announcement regarding all-day kindergarten. Fortunately for the district, our board has already done much work to review space issues in our schools, and so we are well positioned to respond to this announcement for the benefit of all of our school communities. We will hold another special public board meeting next Tuesday, September 15th at 7 p.m. to discuss and release this report. After the release of the report, the board will create opportunities to hear directly from you about how you feel your concerns would be best addressed by us. And we will look forward to this opportunity to hear directly from you. This evening, we are going to be discussing our response to the provincial government's decision to cancel entirely our annual facilities grant. For years, school districts throughout the province complete much-needed maintenance work to their facilities during the summer months. This really makes sense because work can be accomplished most efficiently and safely when students and educational staff are on vacation. For years, school districts have completed this maintenance work relying on the provincial government to send them the money to pay for those needed repairs. The provincial government knows full well that this is how it works in every school district in the province. We were to receive $1.6 million this year, but our cautious Secretary-Treasurer advised us against budgeting the entire amount, and so we proceeded to complete only about $1 million, I believe, in maintenance to our facilities this summer. Things like redo the gym floor at Fanning. That was finally replaced at a cost of $95,000. And doing this during summer months meant that no one missed a gym class or had to walk through a construction zone. We replaced some roofing for a cost of $100,000, including some sections at schools such as Arden School. By completing this work during the summer, not only was student learning not interrupted, but our buildings have been protected to ensure they will serve us well for years to come. Never did we imagine that the provincial government would cancel this funding altogether. Never did school districts imagine that the provincial government would fail to give us notice that the expected check would not be coming. And never did we imagine that the provincial government would create a deficit in our school district. Our board did not cause this problem, but we will actively work to find a solution. Our Secretary-Treasurer has brought forward a proposal for us to consider this evening, and we will be hearing more about that shortly. So in closing, the board has worked hard to respond to your concerns and to make sure we transact our business in a transparent, respectful, and fiscally responsible manner. We remain committed to working in collaboration with students, the staff, and the public to support the best education system possible for the Comox Valley. And we really are looking forward to a good year ahead. So thank you. So those are my opening comments. And now we'll just roll into all of this grade structure consultation. So as I mentioned, we're not quite ready to release the report this evening, and I'm just wondering if trustees have any comments they'd like to make with respect to this. Yeah, go.
So, we met last in the middle of July, 16th, the commission was tasked to try to knit together the information that came out of the grade structure committee report that was received by the board. The intent was to build on that and to provide a springboard or a foundation for a fuller and hopefully meaningful discussion with the public up to leading to the board meeting at the end of October. I, for one, hope that the public isn't expecting a perfect document, because it's not going to be that. I don't think I don't believe that there is everything in a perfect document, and certainly with the amount of variables and whatnot that we're dealing with, it's particularly challenging. So on the 25th of August, Jordan delivered to us the first cut at that, the first draft of that particular document. And as my colleagues know, we've had an opportunity at least twice to ponder and discuss and pose some questions and gain some clarification. And we're certainly close. There's a little discouraging announcement aside. Some of the announcements that were mentioned into our plan. So again, while it's not a perfect document, I do want to, my interest as a trustee is to sort of do this once and to hopefully do it well, so a few times and maybe not do it well. So I'm disappointed that I had anticipated, certainly what I was gearing for was something that we could roll tonight to begin the process more formally. In the absence of having all the eyes that we can see dotted and the T's that we're aware of crossed, we're going to need to wait
No. Okay, we'll move on then. Lance, would you like to speak to the Supervisor Council plan item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, despite what the headline on the local paper said, we are not saying we want to delay the seismic projects. There's a couple of reasons, that might have got that impression, but there's also a couple of reasons why that's not true. One of them is the ministry is not likely to approve any new 5-year capital project before the end of the Olympics. So, there's not going to be a delay because I don't think there's going to be any approvals anyway. So, and the other piece is the ministry won't fund the individual projects, the small ones. So we'd have to group them together like this anyway. So they're kind of different projects, excuse me, in the sense of being small ones in a group. They're not like 5-year plan ones, so they're very different. So two sources for the money that we were talking about using is one is the sale of properties, and the other one seismic underruns. So the seismic underruns they will expect us to use for seismic projects. The sale of properties is the one we're thinking of using here. So that's the differences. Certainly I did say the priority for the capital reserve was the one we wanted to use under the briefing note. So I'll just try to hit the highlights in here, which is on page 2 of the handout. So under the discussion there, as the board chair has mentioned, there's been the withdrawal of the AFG funding by the ministry. So we've asked, here we are asking the board to consider allowing us to modify our 5-year plan by adding 2 groups of projects. One group of those projects is the energy conservation projects in the amount of $395,000. Those are detailed on page 9. Now these would benefit the district in 2 ways. One would be to helping lower our carbon footprint, which avoids the new carbon taxes as well. And the second would be to help meet our agreement around the manager of energy conservation, which is a position that's funded by the BC Hydro, and we need to reduce our use of electricity to meet our agreement to pay for that position. The second group of projects, which is a bunch of the minor projects, some have been done, some are in process, and some are yet to be done. But it is the list of work we wanted to do this year. That's for $1,709,000. Again, that's the page 8 list. The only sort of wrinkle of new ones added in there was around the maintenance shop. Now this is one that's been actually in our local capital plan since 06-07. The board actually allowed us to put in $100,000 of the local capital reserve, basically just holding it with the hope that some of the future sales of property would actually come through and that we would have money to fund that. So that is looking less and less likely with the change in the property disposal process that the ministry has given us. So we've at this time moved it over then to this restricted capital, hopefully to this fund here, and use it to complete that work that we wanted to do. So again, the recommendation would be, that project was for about $300,000 as well. So we recommend the use of restricted capital reserves. We do at this time have $8 million but the process to access those funds is we do have to add it to our capital plan. So that's a 5-year plan, and then that's so the ministry can even consider it, and then if the minister approves it, then we can use that fund for that, for those projects. So other alternatives the board could consider would be the use of local capital reserves, which is also from the sale of properties, but it's the properties that were locally paid for. That could be used. We do have about $2.2 million, I think, in that one at this time. And failing that, though, then the only consideration for the board would be to say that we're going to cut down the number of projects. And if we cut down the number of projects, of course, that may lead to some layoffs as well. So that's it in a nutshell.
Questions for them?
The government hit to us on the grant is 1.6, and the ask here is 1.7.
Well, there's some that have been done, as I mentioned, that aren't on here from the original list. The $300,000 for maintenance would not have been on the AFG list before. So that's sort of some downs and some up as well.
You mentioned the carbon tax and offsets. I know that some of the school districts have been hitting some pretty high numbers. Nelson was about $65,000 that they had to pay out. Is there a number that our district is looking at, or are we sort of at the point now that we're going to be okay, or are we looking at to actually writing a check to the government for some money to offset our carbon?
I'll let Chuck can answer that if you could.
The carbon offsets, I take it, or what you're referring to, you have to buy at $35 a ton. Preliminary estimates for us most likely will be somewhere between $65,000 to $90,000
So that's a check that we're going to write to the provincial government to offset.
I just have one funny little question on page 8. We're talking about the SMART tool. We are faced with a per-student charge of approximately $6,000 per student.
Sorry, no, that's the total.
That's the total, then, is it?
Correct.
85 cents per student.
85 cents.
Okay. Yeah, I looked a little nervous. It was more than what they give us, so.
Couple of points, questions. On the original, which I see was on page 6 then, I believe that there were some items that may not have been included. The one that I think jumped out at me was the broken windows.
Yeah, through Madam Chair, that work has been done.
So that, are there any other items that were on the original list that are, that weren't completed and that have been removed from this?
That will not complete.
Done or not done, because what I'm getting at, my understanding is that originally it was 1.6 million, and it's now roughly 1.7, but including the 300,000. So there's, I just don't know if there's a match between the 300,000 that weren't here and what was here. So that's one concern, and that in conjunction with this isn't really question, but this concern about introducing something new, well, something new to me, even though it may not have been new to the previous board, in terms of the maintenance replacement, when there's so much else that we're dealing with that isn't feasible. So I don't know what other board members think about that.
I guess my question is to Len. When Gordo was playing Santa Claus and pulled Royston off the shelf for whatever reason and gave us the $1 million seismic upgrade, is that gone poof, or how, what's, because that was supposed to start this summer, right?
Through Madam Chair, you know what, it absolutely is in process. The contracts may not yet be signed, but it's very close to being signed.
So-
And there will be a bylaw reading it September 22nd.
Okay.
Just to clarify, that wasn't a seismic.
Oh, sorry, no, it was building envelope, sorry.
No, I just wanted to confirm that the maintenance replacement has been talked about for quite a number of years. And I believe it was in 2006 we were actually looking at some form of a Quonset hut type of building to replace the existing shops.
Through Madam Chair, I wouldn't quite call it a Quonset hut. It was a metal fabricated building. But
Same thing.
But again, you know, if the board wishes to, and I honestly, we prepared this list out of, we think we've hit everything. If we missed it, you know, we could certainly look at that. But our intention was to make sure that, you know, we covered off those projects we wanted to do and everything else that we could do, you know, without sort of going over.
I have a question. How come they're two separate projects? Maybe I missed something.
I was just, because my sort of impression would be that when we give this to the ministry, they're going to look at it, right, and they may be more favorable towards the annual facilities grant replacement as opposed to the energy projects. They may say yes or no, but if we put them all together, they may just say no. So I was trying to have that separation there just to give them an opportunity. And again, they may reject parts of it as well, which is another thing I should mention, because there's a couple of items that we listed that were part of the AFG or new ones that are in here, like the duct cleaning. They may actually say no. They may say that doesn't actually fit our definition. It's sort of a risk we take, but we thought we'd put the whole list in and see where it went.
On the third last paragraph in the briefing, where you have reference that we may have to consider reductions. Using sort of may consider in the same sentence, that was can you expand a bit on that, what that is?
Well,
Potentially, worst case scenario?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, we have 5 positions earmarked, and they're not individual people that are earmarked, but just 5 salaries that we normally transfer between the operating maintenance budget and the AFG budget. And that's sort of an estimate of how much work our crews would do in any given year, so we make that transfer at the end of the year to cover it. If we are unable to access the AFG, that would then, of course, impact our ability to come within our facilities and maintenance budget, and therefore, to do that, we would probably have to look at either the layoffs or some severe curtailment of spending. Of work, exactly.
So I just like to verify a couple things with respect to the AFG. One is, did you have a surplus in your AFG account at the end of the last year?
Are you referring to the end, June 30th just passed?
Yeah, whatever.
We were $360,000 in deficit. I believe it might have been 370, but quite close to that. So 370,000.
Okay, so where does that money come from?
Well, what the usual practice for the ministry was what they referred to the their quarter one funding. So their 09-10, which would have been the last of our 08-09 year, we called it quarter 4. And for the last 4 or 5 years that they've been funding it that way, we've been taking it into our fourth quarter as revenue. When they withheld it from us, and in that fourth quarter, and it became clear that they weren't going to, we could no longer use it in that fourth quarter, but we had been using it, so that's where we spent it before we actually even knew they were going to withhold it. And as you mentioned, the summer work then is the same scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally sense. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, so do you want to make a motion with respect to this, or do you want to talk about it a little bit more before we go further with the motion?
Clarification.
Yeah, it certainly would be conditional in the sense that we actually, until I put in front of you another capital plan with this on it, right, you can't pass it. I mean, it's just, you have to use the same process as you would with the 5-year capital plan. It's a little more formal than just making a motion. So this was just to see if the board wished to go that way. We'd then draw the projects up completely and bring it back, right? So that you get an actual revised form as well. I should be more comfortable with that before I proceeded to put the energy into it.
So moved.
So what do you,
So I'm making a motion that the board conditionally approve 2 projects for the capital plan and the other for the NP project and giving $95,000 for the
Second motion.
okay, for discussion?
Fairly well explained in briefing notes.
Graham?
Yeah, I still need more information because, again, the concept for a new project, well, a new to me, and not the previous ones. I do need more information about that, given the time period in terms of other things being cut, and introducing something new, and that this is the estimate to lock up, if I understood. So I don't know, I would just like more information about the actual cost, and also in terms of the energy conservation project that I would like to take the time to explore what the specific things are, because I have no idea what I pay for or, yeah, but because the numbers are 15,000, 30,000, I think it would be worth us having more information as to what we're putting or not putting.
Anyone else?
I'll just say that I think Brown, I think I need more information as well. And I think something that I might find helpful is to see what the 1.6 was that we actually passed compared to the 1.7 that we're now considering passing. Just to see if there are any, where are any issues. Where's that listed?
couple of things. One is that we do, there's work that needs to be done. And two, then we avoid some layoffs for our support staff, which we already hit with our budget cuts this year. And we get to protect our buildings in the meantime. Additionally, we had asked for a report to come back to the September board meeting that would give us a list of priorities for spending for our restricted capital and our local capital. And so I think that I would like to wait until then to see where these things fit in the overall picture. I know that the maintenance shed has been on there for a long time. However, there's other things that might have an even larger impact on people that I don't know where those would fit in the grand scheme of things. So I too would like to wait for a sort of final approval until.
If I could just one comment on your September report, I'm not sure what you're expecting in terms of the use for restricted capital, because the board has not given me much direction about projects beyond those on the capital plan, like on the actual 5-year capital plan. So I guess I'm just curious if there is some expectation that there would be some different projects listed on there.
Well, I think we have passed a motion that you tell us what the district priorities are for that $8 million.
Correct. That's largely driven by the 5-year capital plan. As I mentioned earlier, it has to be part of it, right? You can't take any of that restricted capital money without it going to a capital plan.
So
right.
then,
Or
okay, so then I guess if we were to allocate, request the $8 million now, are you saying that it would entirely go towards the $13 million seismic upgrade to Vandy the way you listed it?
If I could, it starts to get a little convoluted, but when we actually submit the PIRs, I think they call it PRI, whatever the acronym is for it, in there we actually make a statement of how much we would be willing to put in. At this point in time, all we've put in is $1.5 million. And if you remember when we talked about that night, what I said was this really becomes a negotiating point with the ministry, and if the board is okay with, once we got through our full 5-year capital plan, that the process should be that we then go talk about what we need. Because if it's fairly close and we put more money into it, they may then, of course, be willing to fund the project or not, right? It may be a waste of time in terms of saying how much we're going to put in, because they may never approve it. Just in the last 4 months, they've kind of gone through 2 pieces with me where at first they said, you know what, all the seismic's been downgraded, and you're past the 100 project list, so you might as well forget it for a while, right, like stand down, because there's no projects coming. Then they revisited that and came back with some different numbers about frame buildings and versus block buildings, but Vandy is a block building. So then it sort of seems to have gotten a bit of life again, although I haven't seen anything, concrete either. So it's kind of a funny time to be sitting here trying to, say, well, what are our priorities? Because the ministry's been a whole lot less than clear about, where our projects stand. Normally, you'd be able to sit with them and go, here's the list of projects, you're looking at this year, there's like the whole province, and where do we sit? And is it worth us pouring the money in to try and help them make that decision?
Anyone else? Okay, all the questions? All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, that will conclude the business portion of the meeting. Now we'll move to question and answer period. I'd like to make a comment that question and answer period, we do anticipate that it would be questions that people would be raising with us. I know people have strong feelings with respect to a lot of issues, especially the upcoming report, and we would hope that you would come to our public meetings with respect to those to tell us what you think about the report. But we would still like to hear what questions you might have for us this evening, and hopefully we can answer them for you. So does anyone have a question? Do you know?
Yeah, I've got a question. So the superintendent's report was given to the board on the
Tom, you alluded to the fact that you met twice and talking about the report. Was that a public meeting? You met twice and talked about the report?
We had committee meetings. You need
So
to
Tom,
direct,
I actually asked Tom
Jean,
that
you
question.
need to direct your questions. You know what the board procedural bylaws say. You need to direct
Wait
your
a
questions to the
minute,
chair.
Susan, when we had our meetings the last round, you were telling every
Jean,
single
what is your
person-
question? What is your question, or we'll have to move on?
How many meetings have you had to discuss the superintendent's report on the 25th of August? How many informal meetings or formal meetings did you have to discuss that report?
Well, it depends on how you characterize meetings. We talk a lot back and forth with respect to if there's cell phone calls, emails, we see each other in person.
Formal gathering.
There has been no formal gatherings, actually.
Okay, so you haven't gathered as a board to sit and talk about that report?
Yes, we have. We did on August 25th.
No, after that.
Yeah, we did also on September 1st. It wasn't a formal public board meeting.
So you're saying that's transparency then, to talk about a report that came from the superintendent, and you're not including the public in any of those discussions, but you're asking the superintendent to go back and redo the report because it's not what the board wants to see?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So, well, that's the perception right now, because it's not what the board wants. You're telling him to restructure and redo the report so that what the superintendent was going to give to the public, you're not going to make public. That's how I understand it. Or is that coming out to the public?
No, that was
The first draft, when that came out to the public for the public to see.
what we wanted to do, as Tom said, we wanted to have a good product put out to the public so that you can fully understand what the different options are.
So why would you determine that?
So-
Why
so
would
that
the
is
board
me.
determine that we need to get the board to decipher what our superintendent, the expert, why do we need to get you, the board, to decipher what he has to say and filter it out, and maybe put it out to your flavor as opposed to the superintendent's flavor?
Because it's the district reporting. Thank you for your question. I'm going to
Okay,
move on to someone else.
one more
Do
question?
we have someone else, please, with another question?
If no one else has another question, I'd like to ask another one. Because this isn't transparency, Susan Bar, you know that. And shutting people down, you ridiculed the last board for doing that, and I don't appreciate that at all.
Thank you for your comments, Jean. Does anyone else have a question or a comment for us? with respect to- or is- Marilyn?
I'm wondering if we can expect to see added to the agenda, the September 15th meeting, the letter that was directed to the board from the Thomas Valley Principals, Vice Principals Association, Germany, and PSC, and if there will be, if that will be public, and if we can expect the discussions to include the input from that partner group, as well as from other educational partners, because I'm curious in your, what you made reference to when you talked about the shared beliefs of governance for the board was public consultation and consulting with students, staff, and public. Yet if you look at your mission statement behind it says to work with our educational partners. And I came here expecting to hear that discussion tonight, and I appreciate that it's been going for a week, and I wanted to give you assurances that in fact will be part of the meeting.
The trustees have all received a copy of that letter. As is our usual practice, we will determine what we're going to do with feedback regarding our process. I'm not sure that they're going to appear on board agendas, but they will definitely be made public and posted to our website, and that there will be a statement in our consultation report that says that. If you give us something in writing, please expect that it would be made public so that everybody can read it. Okay, take another question?
So I have another one, if somebody else wants to.
Shannon?
I'm just wondering, in light of so much additional information that has been come forward, whether or not the board sees it to be an option to stop looking at reconfiguration at this time.
Now is exactly the time to start planning for our kids' future. There, question, yes, no. What we're going to do is we're going to receive the feedback that we get from the public, and we will govern ourselves according to what they have to say. It's pretty simple. This report is not about salesmanship, it's about leadership, and it's about giving the public an opportunity to weigh in on some options that we have for our school district and to take our direction from them. Thank you for your question, Shannon. Does anyone else have a...
I'm just wondering whether the board didn't understand the report that they received. Even somebody who sat on that committee, and in the end, the decision not to make actual clear recommendations resulted in some language that was rather mild and might have been misunderstood by the board. Because to me, with the exception perhaps of one person there, the report could have been written to say entirely one option only, stay the course, the others are not valid, there is no educational benefit, we have a financial crisis. And since that report was received by you, the financial crisis has worsened. The evidence in the report was that it makes no difference whatsoever educationally. And in fact, this district had an educational crisis to deal with in view of the fact that many, many children do not graduate, and that we are in the low end of the provincial results. Irrespective of the nice results, we continue to have a crisis. So I'm wondering, given that the previous feedback from members of the public, which you have already captured, was about split, but leaning towards a let's move on, that the information that you received from all the educational officials was let's move on, and that the report really said, you've asked us for a number of different options, but only one of them is any good. The others are here, but they have such huge problems for the district, psychologically, financially, and in every which way. The report said to you, let's move on. Let us put our attention to more pressing concerns. Since that time, you have enormous increase in the crisis financially.
Sheila, what's your question?
My question is, did you not understand the report? And what can we do to help you understand the report?
We clearly did understand the report. It is very important to us to hear from a broad cross-section of the public what they think about these issues. We cannot rely on what one person says, what one small group of people think, what a committee thinks, or what one partner group thinks. We have an obligation to listen to what everybody thinks, and that's what we're doing. We are not trying to sell anything. We are trying to put out an opportunity for people to respond. And I really hope that everyone, regardless of what they think, comes and tells us. Because quite honestly, I'm disappointed we can't proceed with this right now. I don't have a good feeling, really, at this point, given all the things that have happened, given a year in this new model, what the general public thinks. I think I know what a few people that come to our board meetings regularly think, but beyond that, I don't know. And I really look forward to hearing what the public has to say about this, very much. And we do understand the report, so we advocate.
Can I have one follow-up? Exactly.
Sheila, I think that we're going to limit it to one question. I think that if you have some things to say about this, then maybe you should pass your question on. Do you have any other questions?
You can ask your question on my behalf.
Okay, Sheila, go for it.
Okay. Given that this report represented hours of detailed examination, and that the feedback from the partner groups represents informed opinions from people who have taken the time, who are immersed in the education system, will the board give consideration as they judge the responses to the value that comes from informed input as opposed to the random input from people who are coming at it uninformed based on their anecdotal or personal experience of their child or their own education? I think it's really important that the board understand public consultation has varying values depending on how well informed people can be. And
I want to let you know it is surprising how few people know you are even considering this. And that the energy to educate people about your desire to be transparent and consult, as you say, will be, in order to get good results, the energy is far beyond the capacity to do it this time. So that you will get response.
Sheila, what is your question?
Will the board assure us that they will give value to informed opinion over random public feedback?
Well, I'm not going to answer this one on behalf of the board, but for me, whatever people have to say is of value. Whether you're Sheila McDonald, whether you're Jean Rowe, or whether you're Bruce Archibald, I want to hear what everyone has to say about this, and no matter what your perspective is. I don't know that my fellow trustees are any different.
Then I have one more question if you value what I have to say.
Yeah, one more question, Jean.
All of your transparency, it seems we have to pull from an FOI, and you're conducting your board meetings through email. I mean, there's evidence here where you're consolidating things and you're summing up what every trustee has to say on your own emails. And I guess Lori likes to use, wanted to use Village Park as bait for later on her emails. There was emails coming from. My question is, if you say that you're going to be transparent, why are you conducting all of your meetings, or a lot of your meetings, on email? So, not only email, but every single one of you ridiculed the last board for not being transparent. We never did anything like this, and you should be embarrassed that you're public, you cannot speak in public about these issues. And every single one of you should be able to speak about these things in public.
You know as well as anyone would, that these things are vital.
We have never done that, and this is totally uncalled for, and it's not, so what I want to know is, are you going to be discussing these things publicly, as opposed to what you're doing, conducting them in email, and having meetings, gatherings, or whatever you want to call them, without the public being present? And you, Danny White, know much better. You've been in this board for way
I'm going to stop you for your own good here, okay? You're fighting into some problems here.
And you know, Danny, that this isn't right. And you should be telling these people, because of your experience.
Okay, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
You don't want to hear what the public has to say?
I do.
I would like to.
I do. Yeah. I need some questions though from people. I don't think, okay. Shelley, go ahead.
In light of the financial crisis, the amount of money that is being spent having the board jump through hoops and, like something send it back. You want to report on this, you want to report on that. That's valuable time and money that I've seen being wasted for what you talk about. January meetings, there's washrooms, there's boilers, there's stuff like that. And one of the options is to close Marcus Fells and remove those kids, change the whole district at a great expense for more and financial crisis. The principals and vice principals, I hear, have submitted a letter asking to put this on the paper now. Your report isn't going to be ready until next week. You're saying the decision has to be made at the end of October. There's been no discussion when we have public consultation meetings. I'm thinking we're not going to have very many. How
Would you like to worry what we're anticipating for that? We would be happy to fill you in on that.
all of this coming up with the financial crisis, money being spent on our staff, and they could be addressing student issues. How can this board sit here and go, we are seriously considering flipping things up and spending more money?
We are planning to release this report that will detail some of the costs, and we want to hear what the public thinks. If you feel you want to go with option A and this is the cost, tell us. If you feel you want to go with option B and these are the costs, tell us. We want to know what you think.
You really want to know what we think, or is it because everything that's happening now, you guys already did in your emails in January?
Shelley, wouldn't you be happy to put this to bed and to never have to talk about it again? I'm pretty sure we would be too. And so the way that we see to do that is to put this report together and put it out to you and ask you and everybody else to comment on it. What we're anticipating doing is going to each one of the 3 high schools. We want to hear from what the students at that school and also Lake Trail and Cumberland think about our plans here. There's 3 different plans. We would like to hear from staff. We would like to have a separate meeting with the staff at each of the 3 high schools to see what they have to say. And then we would like to have a meeting with the parent and general public community at each one of those schools to hear what they have to say.
We're talking about it. Your emails in January back and forth to each other is going on saying, this is what I want. Islands to stay, keep glasses open. Islands to stay, keep open. Go ahead. Switch Mark Driscoll around.
All I can say, Charlie, is that you'll have an opportunity to see how we vote on this issue. And that will be, you're either going to be right or I'm going to be right. We're going to be responsive to the public. It is about the kids. And so I feel confident that this board will do a fine job of listening to what the public has to say. And you will know when we vote, the way we vote, why we voted the way we do. But it is important to ask the public and not to take direction from a small group of people, and that's what we intend to do. Anyone else with a question, Shannon?
I'm curious to say that you're going to speak with the students in the 3 high schools, and you're talking about a 10-year plan. This isn't going to impact the students greatly that are at the high schools currently. Do you think then you're going to have to filter down and ask the kids that are in elementary school and think that they're going to have the ability to grasp what this is about, considering that's the students that it's going to affect?
We thought we would curtail it and just make it high school students.
So there's going to impact them.
Anyone else with a question?
I'm just curious where the funding is going to go ahead with reconfiguration. Is it this $8 million that is put aside, or I have no idea where it comes from, so you're fine.
Well, any of the expenses we pay come from our operating budget. I hope I'm not remiss in saying this, but it turns out that last year we had, it looks like our deficit will be $1.4 million because of the last reconfiguration. So money came out of that. We had the surplus that had been set aside to pay for contingencies in the future. That may be gone. So the truth is, we may not have sort of a contingency fund there to pay for anything. That would be for anything that we might need to do to tweak our current configuration or to change it. The public needs to have that information so that you can give us informed feedback. So any sort of capital things that need to happen, that would need to come from some of our capital money. And you need to know which account that comes out of and how much it would cost. So you can tell us if you feel we should spend the money on the option that you favor, or if you feel we should go with another one. This is a simple thing. We're not trying to sell something. We're not a board here that's come to reconfigure the district. That's not what we're doing. We're asking you what you would like us to do. And I think that that's the proper thing to do. It is the proper thing.
That's not what your email says. They want to reconfigure the district according to all of your emails. So don't say that to the public until they see all these emails.
Well, I hope that you make them available. I would like to make a comment with respect to FOI requests. We recognize that that is what happens when we have emails in our email in baskets and in our file folders and so forth, that people will make FOI requests. And I would just like to comment that we did receive an FOI request lately that took 160 hours of Lanham's time and Debbie Cage's time to complete.
Yeah,
So that would be $61 an hour. 61 hours.
How many hours did the lawsuit take? All of those thousands and thousands of stacks of papers. So don't try and fool the public. They're not stupid.
Can I ask why you would ask teenagers that it's not going to impact at all? I mean, teenagers care a lot about a lot of things. But I don't expect that they would care about the kids in grade 3 at this point in time. Why would you go and make that effort and ask teenagers in high school to reconfigure it when it has nothing to do with them?
There are people that have children These people are taxpayers. The kids that are in high school are going to be taxpayers here pretty quick. Yeah, I want to hear from them whether they think we should spend our money on
Other
this thing.
schools that have gone, other districts, I come from Vancouver. Every school in Vancouver, ever since, I don't know when, it's grade 8 to 12. Look at the number of graduates that graduate from schools in big cities. It doesn't affect children the way people here think it does. It actually, I sent an email out, and we had more spirit and more loyalty and more connection to our school because we started in grade 8 and we went all the way through grade 12. And our family members were there with us, and it worked. And when I come here last November, and it's the week before the election, and I'm like, what is going on? Have you thought of talking to, like, maybe people who have gone through this and planned it 50 years ago and decided not to do it, and have a success of not changing things up every few years? Like, I don't understand this. To me, it's like...
Ma'am, this is not a discussion. This is not the old discussion from 2 years ago, middle school versus education. It's not that discussion anymore. We're done with that discussion.
But it sounds like you're moving children back and forth, and some are here and some are there. And honestly, it's for the kids, and why don't you just let them be?
It may make some more sense to you when you read the report, and I hope you will. One of the things that the grade structure committee recommended was that, for example, in Cumberland, where Cumberland Elementary is overflowing, that we move some of those kids across the street and put them into the junior secondary school. Well, if we do that, do they get a middle school program, the grades 7 to 9 students, or not? There's a question. Should the Royston students go there? If we do that, the Royston population will shrink because some of those children have been taken out. So we want to put that sort of information out there and see what people think we should do.
Have you looked at schools that have gone to grade 12, studied that, and seen the graduation level and what kind of extracurricular activities could happen in the schools because you have that many more students in the school? Have you done that, or is it just based on what happened in the Comox Valley, what happened 10 years ago in the Comox Valley, what will happen in the next 10 years in Comox Valley? The world, you have every opportunity to get every bit of information from every school district in BC. I mean, in a sense, a regional school board might be a good idea, just so that everyone would be doing exactly the same thing. I mean, it makes sense. It's a waste of money for people to go from, you're 10 minutes away from an area, and you're doing the exact same thing they figured out 10 years ago, or whatever.
And we're not locked into anything at this point. We want to hear what the public has to say about these issues. We truly do. And I really hope that you read the report. We anticipate it being released by Tuesday. And we really hope that you show up at our meetings and tell us what you think. We need to know, because we don't know what the general public really wants us to do right now.
How many people do you need to hear from?
Whoever would like to speak.
What would be an acceptable number of people to call you and say, Susan, we wanted to go this way or we wanted to go that way?
Sir, it's not a referendum.
Well, I understand that, but as a taxpayer at the last school board election, I was under the impression that that's why you people were elected, were to make decisions.
Yes, and we
And
are.
if we don't like the decisions, come next election, we'll maybe get something going.
The public, or school trusteeship is a lot about engaging the public about
I know, but at some
for
point
public
you have
education.
to go, okay, folks, this is the way it's going to be.
To be frank with you, if I would go by what I heard last year, the only thing that I could be doing right now, sitting here, would be to reconfigure the school district back to middle schools. But you know what, the world has changed since I heard that. Things are very different today.
Okay, how many people voted yes?
Well, I think the election results probably spoke for themselves.
I don't think
But
the
this is
election
not,
had anything to
this
do
is
with
not,
that.
this is not about reconfiguring the district back to a middle school. We have what we have now, and we want to move forward and create a good system for kids, whether it's any one of those three models. This is such a substantial decision, and there is a lot of money involved. With any of them, we need to hear from the public what they think, and we really do. And I hope you read the report as well, and I hope that you come and tell us what you think at the public consultation meeting. Is there any other questions this evening?
You said the report should be released by Tuesday, so there's a possibility it'll be released before Tuesday.
I couldn't say that for sure, no.
So Tuesday.
Kate, we'll take the last question from Marilyn.
I just want a clarification on the report, because it certainly would be advantageous to be able to come to users being informed. and ask specific questions of the report. Is the board writing the report, or is the superintendent writing the report?
This is a collaboration. This is a district report.
Who will be presenting the report to the public?
I think probably Jordan and I together will somehow work that out. We have worked very hard to try to work in concert with our staff and to work collaboratively so that we can all stand behind what we put out.
And given that I did make a contribution by sitting on the ad hoc committee, was given access to a great deal of information at that time, could I personally have a copy of draft one of the superintendent's report?
That's not something that we've contemplated.
Are you prepared to give it to me?
No, not without consultation with the board. As you know, there's often drafts of things. That happens at the ad hoc committee as well, and those all weren't sent here. What we're interested in is a really good final draft to release to you.
Just back to the management report. Just out of curiosity, or just a question that we're just going to be, I'm hoping that we're going to be very cautious about what is going to be spent in obviously tough times. That we are looking out for the kids, and I totally understand, what places need to be safe as well, that we are spending the money wisely. My other question would be about the Village Park site, because of all the cutbacks and so forth, and the $100,000 for the rental on Keys actually gone at this point for this year. What will, as far as the sale and the $25 million supposed to come about for Franklin School being built, how soon would we know if the province to pull back from that? How will it affect our district in that way? Would Franklin be staying where they are? Do they get moved into Village Park?
All I know is that they have an agreement to rent our space from us until 2010 or 2011, and it ends at that point. What I know is they own Village Park School, and that's really all I can comment on. You have to direct a further question regarding anything else to either the government or the Franklin School District.
Because they won't be paying the rent on the school district building, they would get evicted then, like you would in your apartment? Are they just there?
Well, it is something that don't have these guys. There is some lawyer somewhere in the province that will into that, but they are going to be compensating us for, I believe, our maintenance costs. Is that correct? But that's it. So I think we figured that was around $100,000 hit to our district that is not flowing through to us for the benefit of our students. The government gets to pick the amount of money they send us, we own, so we have to deal with it.
And as we realize that there's things that even though we try to match, may not turn out to us in.
Yeah.
That's what we work with. Also, if you don't mind me to comment for that. I do have a 15-year-old in Highland, and I do have a 8-year-old in Brooklyn. And my teenager does care about what is happening with the issues. And I would hope that from me being involved in the school that my teenager is well aware of what's going on and that that's because she is going to be one of the adults in the community. And I would strongly suggest that we handle ourselves in a respectful manner, no matter what side we're on, that we're still kind of respectful. And especially in front of the kids. I think it's just a good example.
Thanks for that.
My understanding was that the committee that was put together was a pretty wide spectrum of the whole community. And as a member of the public that you keep saying you want an opinion from, I don't have the time and the education to put into all the details of it, so I trust that this committee knows what they're doing, and I would like them to be my voice. And I just wonder, my question is, how are you going to get enough time, and how do you expect, like, who do you expect to give you more opinion than the people that show up here? If you keep talking about that you want more public input, and I just don't see where the time or how you're going to get more people to give you input than you already have.
Well, I sure hope a lot of people come out. I know that when we had a consultation with respect to solar school, we had 2 evenings where the whole gym was filled. 700 people came out to tell us what they thought. There's no way really to predict how many people will come, and we'll just receive the input we get from whoever comes. There'll be online forums again for people to fill out if they like. They can call us. They can stop us on the street. Whatever works for them.
What is
Like
that
to hear.
for the committee to represent those people in the community?
We wanted to have a committee that would help to construct some models that we can put out for consultation. Go ahead.
Sorry, just to go back to the financial aspect, when the report comes out, will it say, like, we're talking about priorities, will it say, okay, if we go ahead with plan A, B, and C, if we take this money and spend it here, then we're not going to be able to spend this money here. I just would like to know, if I choose to do this, what am I robbing else from? What are my kids, or what maintenance is going to get done, or what isn't, the airport's not going to get in the gym, or whatever. What am I going to take away in order to vote for this? And will there be any kind of information like that available?
Not exactly. What's difficult is there are some costs that are sort of unanticipated and difficult to describe, and I'll describe one for you. In the plan that we just approved this evening with regards to the annual facilities grant money coming from our capital projects, one of the items in that report was to spend $75,000 to put a fire access road to the portable, I believe, at Miracle Beach. Well, that is a cost directly related to last year's reconfiguration. What happened was the school was too full, and we had to buy, we sited a portable there that turned out to be quite moldy. So we had to buy another portable and have it sited there at the only place that seemed to make sense. But now it's too far away from the fire hydrant. So we have to go and put in an access road. So that at a cost of $75,000. So things like that, it's difficult to say what are we not doing so that we can pay for that. It's coming out of this $80 million. Hopefully the government will approve this because it's a safety thing and it's a good thing. But there are some things like that that are really difficult to capture.
I'm just looking at the ballpark, because it's like everything, 20% would offer, right? Like, I'm not worried about if you're spending $2,075,000, isn't that much, really, in the grand scheme of things. So I'm just curious about the big thing, like if it's $1 million to do plan A and $2 million, I don't know the figures, $2 million to do plan B and $3 million to do plan C. It'd be kind of nice to know if I vote on the $3 million, well, what am I taking that $3 million away from? In a grand scheme, not totally,
That's a fair question. I think we probably could do something. They will certainly say this is a one-time only cost. This is an ongoing annual cost. Like I can tell you, for example, on option B on this one, there's 6 to 8 middle school models that we're contemplating in this report. By contract, teachers are required to have more preparation time if they work in a school other than an elementary school. So the cost of that to the district would be $230,000 every year. So we would have to cut something in order to pay for that.
yeah, so I guess I'm just hoping that maybe in the process here, that there could be a few examples of things that might get chopped, or, but just so, you're talking about a informed decision, it'd be nice to know what I'm taking away, and if I feel more strongly about that, then the choice.
It's hard to say because our needs would change from year to year. This year we went through the difficult task of, what did we chop? $450,000 out of our budget. It's what made sense this year. If we have to do more cuts next year for whatever reason, because we do have a structural deficit still of, we think, around $325,000, something like that. It'll have to be what seems to make sense next year. So, things we've cut. What did we cut this year? I can't remember last year.
No, I don't remember.
Field trip money, professional partnership money, photocopying years we're going to buy. And that's what made sense this year.
Some district budgets as well.
Yeah, but there's going to have to be some kind of direct impact right off the bat, or something that you will know that I would assume there would be something, or maybe not, there won't be something big. I'm just thinking if it's a few $2 million, that's a big chunk of money that's going to be coming out of the budget. You must have an idea of what's going to, some of the things that may get nullified in the process.
You know, I'd just like to make a comment that sometimes, like, I sense a lot of fear with people here. And I think sometimes we have been let down by, no matter whether we're NDP or Liberal or Conservative, sometimes we have voted people in and they've let us down because they have not done what we thought we were electing them to do. And I wonder if that's what's happening here with people. You're worried that we're going to just go and run off and reconfigure the district and to have them look at those things. I think you can see we've proceeded very carefully. We haven't really rocked the boat too much at all this year. We tried to keep staffing levels at what they were to try to bring some sanity for people in the district. Hopefully things are not too different for them this year when they went to school. We made sure that the year was the best it could be, because you know it's important for people to know what this world is like in this configuration. And maybe they say to us, maybe the people last year that said, I don't want you to do this, maybe this year they're going to say, hey, you know, this isn't so bad. I don't want you to spend any money to do this. We'll keep it. I don't know. But I don't think that this board is just going to go run off and just do something crazy. I don't believe it for a minute.
And I'm not suggesting that that's the case. It's just that what you're asking for, I think there's just a lot of public that might look at the headline and make a decision on that. It'd be nice for everybody to want to take a little bit of time to know what, you know, we want informed decision, what it is, because I don't want to make a decision and find out that when they go to high school, they're not going to have a gym, or they're not going to be able to have these electives because we decided that one grade meant a big deal, or something. That's the kind of stuff that I want to know, because my kids are going to be affected. So that's the only reason that I asked the question, is so that you can look at it and decide whether the price you're going to pay later is worth what you're going through. That's the only thing that I would like to know personally when I'm looking at it.
The report contemplates that we've missed some stuff, and that the grade committee missed some stuff. Maybe there's some stuff in there that we never thought about, and we looked at, people will tell us, hey, you missed this. You realize if you went with this option, this would happen. I really hope people tell us that. I really do.
What about the children that have been adversely affected by the last configuration? Should they not have a choice where the school they like, especially with disabilities and these?
There is legislation in place right now that allows children to go to schools of their choice in the district, provided that there's space. And we have had some challenges with that this year. We were not able to accommodate all children to go into the school of their choice. Private schools are an issue, and they can be dealt with in a variety of ways. We don't have the money to build additions to schools, so we need to know if you want us to change the configuration, would you like us to cite portables, would you like us to change the boundaries? We'd like to know. Joy?
Concern and a bit of clarification that I need. The July meeting, you asked management to give you an August 25th report. And I'm looking over here at these people, and I see, just from your top three, over 60 years of educational experience. I know that they got the report to you on the 25th. And I'm assuming that they know what they're talking about. They've been doing it for a long, long time. So I'm a little bit concerned now that the report isn't being published as given, how it has been in years past. If the board has lost faith in what these people are telling you, because none of the 7 here are educators per se. We've been in the system, going through past, recast, yada yada. But these people here are the ones that know how the system works, and have the finger on the pulse, per se, and now the report isn't being given to the public. So I'm questioning, does the board, have you lost faith in what these people are telling you? Because it should
No, we have faith in them. They wouldn't be sitting there if we didn't have faith in them.
So my concern is then, why are you not releasing the report that the superintendent worked on over his summer to get to you guys on the 25th, because you originally wanted to have this big thing today and it's being postponed? That's red flag for me. Something's not right here, that this isn't being released to us as it was given to you.
We had anticipated that we would collaborate on the report and discuss the report, and to be really honest with you, these people needed some time off this summer, and we didn't badger them. So we took some time off. We had pretty long stretches where they had holidays and they needed it. We had always anticipated that we would have a discussion about the report that came through, which received August the 25th. We have sort of ad hocly tried to have discussions because people are off, they weren't all quite back to work, people are busy and so forth. It's really regrettable that we couldn't have the report ready for this evening. We tried our best, but we feel it'll be ready next week. And I hope you read the whole thing, Tony, and tell us what you really think. I know you will, but really, I'm sorry, I too am disappointed it's not ready.
Susan, how can you have a collaborative report from the board and the experts, and then the board will vote on it? You can't do that. You cannot have the board writing the report or being involved in writing the report that you're going to vote on.
I agree it's a departure from the process our last board. I agree it's a departure from the process our last board participated in.
No, you're not supposed to do that. How can you vote on something you write yourself? You can't do that, Susan. If the experts are supposed to write and you're supposed to consider it.
Bob has just pointed out a good thing here. We're not voting on the report, we're just receiving a report to put out to the public.
But you can't be writing the report with your experts. This is what Tony was saying. You're not getting it.
Sheila, one last question for you. I think you're up to are you like 6 or something?
I'm interested, I do hear you saying that you have a different process and that it's on a situation. And I've had a few concerns. I've seen a couple of incidents of or just things happening where input from the students at Vanier, where their teacher is on record as not liking the change, being reported on and not input from the students at Marcusville, where the staff and students made a great effort to receive the grade 8 finish grade, and it's been fairly successful and positive.
Did you just say we didn't receive input from
No, I said that you did receive input from Marcusville, but in the media, you chose to highlight Vanier rather than...
We gave Shelley Galou's daughter audience to come and do a presentation. We did not give Vanier or Highland students.
Okay, so when you talk about the concerns or that we have fears about the board running off and doing stuff, I would say I have concerns about violence and perceived conflict of interest, and some concerns or some hopes. I have concerns about the governance structure where you collaborate with your staff whose employment is subject to meeting your needs. You collaborate with them until you get the results you want. It presents an appearance of that really grave concern around the governance structure. And so I have a question about whether the board will consider really seriously, when you do come to vote, on the issue of conflict of interest that many of you, some who have already, what one would call, fettered their discretion by stating that they were elected to do something and will therefore do it, regardless of the input received. I do think that constitutes conflict of interest, that you, the board, will you be considering as individuals and as a group, asking some of your members not to vote on the final report because of perceived and established conflict of interest.
We would take that up with Mr. Secretary Is there any other questions at all this evening? Okay, 45 minutes left. Have coffee next. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All those in favor? Does anyone oppose? And that is carried. Thank you